Alien elite platoon invade a remote Terran colony but loses battle against human rednecks. Mission log Sergeant Threx of the Zarnok elite infiltration unit. Operation Swift Silence. Terran colony designation. Outpost Jasper 12, Day 1. We descended upon the target at 0400 local time. The humans were supposed to be asleep. We had thermal imaging, cloaking tech, and an entire platoon of Zarnok's finest. 8 warriors genetically engineered for silence, speed, and destruction. Intel designated the colony as lightly populated, agrarian, non-hostile. Translation: backwater farmers with too many missing teeth and not enough brain cells. What we encountered instead was war. The moment our dropship hit the dirt, it exploded. I'm not talking about a little fizzle and pop. I'm talking full-blown catastrophic fireworks. Whatever that barrel was, labeled Pause Surprise, it tore through our hull like it was made of paper. To this day, I have no idea what was inside it, only that it screamed as it flew through the air. It might have been a cross between a homemade explosive and a chicken that had taken way too much caffeine. In the confusion, we scrambled to regroup. As we huddled in the cornfield, what was left of it, things got strange. Not only were the corn stalks rigged with tripwires, but they had speakers mounted on every row, blasting country music at a volume I can only describe as torturous. Imagine a hillbilly concert, but all the instruments are out of tune and played at full blast through a cheap speaker system. It was war, and I was losing. Zorak, the youngest member of our squad, lost his left ear canal to a modified combine harvester that emerged from the crops like a vengeful metal god. The thing was terrifying, cutting down everything in its path, leaving behind nothing but broken husks. I swear I could still hear the faint twang of a banjo in the distance as he screamed. That's when I realized these people weren't farmers. They were warriors. I had thought we could hold our ground, but that hope was quickly dashed. A human male, easily 3 meters tall, dressed in stained overalls and sporting a helmet with a beer hat that housed 2 suspiciously large cans of something he kept swigging, stood on the porch of a ramshackle building and shouted, "Y'all picked the wrong pasture!" The words were laced with thick, almost incomprehensible twangs, but the message was clear. It was at this point that I wished for the sweet, silent vacuum of space. But no, that was when they unleashed the raccoons. I don't know how they trained them. I don't know why they even had raccoons. But the moment those creatures, dressed in tactical vests no less, emerged from the trees, I felt a true fear unlike anything I've encountered. These weren't regular woodland critters. These raccoons were some sort of armored, frothing, hyper-aggressive beasts who moved like they'd spent years training for this exact moment. They swarmed over Private Skilth's exosuit, tearing through his armor with speed and precision that should not be possible for a creature that spends most of its life dumpster diving. And if that wasn't enough, one of the younger humans threw something at us. A massive magnet the size of a hubcap. We tried to take cover, but the thing latched onto our comms array, jamming everything we tried to send. One of the children laughed, like he had just discovered some new, terrifying form of magic. The comms went silent. I can't explain how utterly terrifying it is to be out of contact with command. It's a vulnerability we've never had to endure. Our stealth gear is useless. Their radios work fine. I'm not even sure how that's possible. And then there was the sound, the unmistakable twang of a banjo. It's closer now. I've tried to rally my squad, to fight back, but their gear is malfunctioning. Zorak can't hear us through the constant, cacophonous banshee wail of country music. Shurik is stuck in a hole they dug for some reason labeled the Gator Pit, and Kroos is... I'm not entirely sure what Kroos is doing. He's wearing a pair of jean shorts now and keeps yelling, "Get 'em, y'all!" while holding a pitchfork. I now believe these humans were not abandoned here. I do not think this is some outpost that's been forgotten. No, I believe they were exiled. Exiled from somewhere, and their punishment is to stay on this hellish farm. But it's not just any farm, it's a war zone. I've heard them talking in their strange language. "Y'all ready for some redneck games?" they asked. It was at that moment that I realized they're not trying to kill us. They're trying to make us part of the game. I don't know how much longer we can survive. The raccoons keep circling. The cornfield seems to stretch on forever, and the banjo, it's still there. In the distance, getting closer. End of log. Mission log, Sergeant Threx, Day 2. Codename Operation Nope, Nope, Nope. After narrowly surviving the raccoon offensive, we regrouped at 0600 hours in what we believed was a secure hollow tree. It turned out to be full of bees. Weaponized bees. Private Skilth is now swollen to the size of a medium hovercar and speaks exclusively in buzzing. Private Crinks tried to patch up Skilth, but the suit's circuitry now smells permanently of squirrel urine and chili powder. Skilth himself is changed. He just stares at the middle distance, whispering so many missing teeth. Regardless, mission objectives remain unchanged. Subdue the colony, secure its technology, if any, and prepare for extraction. Intel suggested the red barn on the southern field was a supply depot. Its heat signature was low, and drone scans picked up no obvious movement. It looked harmless. It was not harmless. Upon approach, we encountered our first sign of trouble. A scarecrow rigged with what appeared to be fireworks, chewing gum, and, unconfirmed, 2 live chickens duct taped to its arms. When Private Crink shot it out of caution, it exploded. Not in flames, in glitter. We were blind for 17 seconds. In those 17 seconds, we lost tactical cohesion. Yilgar developed a glitter allergy, and Crink stepped into a bear trap, labeled Free Hugs. After disabling the trap and Yilgar, he wouldn't stop sneezing plasma, we breached the barn. Inside, chaos. The barn door itself was also booby-trapped with a tripwire connected to what locals refer to as a hog launcher. It was, in fact, a catapult with a live hog that screamed. The hog hit Crink square in the chest, shattering his plasma rifle and, I believe, his sense of dignity. The locals cheered. I heard one yell, "Bacon airstrike successful," followed by high fives and a rebel yell so powerful it briefly knocked out my translator. What should have been a storage area was a full-blown weapons lab. If your weapons lab was sponsored by duct tape and spite. Dozens of crude, hand-built weapons lined the walls, pitchforks modified with electric tines, chainsaws duct taped to drone rotors, even what looked like a chicken strapped to a grenade labeled "Cluck You." Hanging on one wall was a flamethrower labeled Bessie. Its fuel source? 3 barrels of expired moonshine and what appeared to be a squirrel on a treadmill. Next to it, a chainsaw with the word diplomacy painted on the blade in blood-red paint. I hope it was paint. Private Yilgar attempted to scan for life forms. The scan triggered a pressure plate that opened a hidden trap door beneath him. He plummeted into the basement and we heard a splash. 7 minutes later, he emerged, soaked in moonshine and singing. Not just any song. It was Sweet Home Alabama, in fluent Terran, with harmony. When we questioned him, he responded in a heavy local accent and challenged our recon drone to a tractor pull. He then mounted it and rode it in circles, screaming, "This barn ain't big enough for the both of us. He may now be compromised." As we searched for a way to override his behavior, we discovered a second room. This one had only a chalkboard and a spotlight. written in perfect Zarnok script, official scoreboard. Each of our names listed, crossed out except mine. Below that, scrawled in chalk, 1 to go. Private Crinks began hyperventilating. Skilth just kept humming dueling banjos. I, against my better judgment, touched the chalkboard. A hidden speaker system activated. Somewhere in the distance, a banjo started playing. Again, slowly, menacingly. A lone voice crackled over the system. "We ain't even started the games yet, sugar." We retreated. Yilgar refused to come, said he had to tend the still. "They've converted one of my squad. This is no longer a mission, this is survival. And these rednecks? They're organized. They have tactics, traps, trained livestock, homemade explosives labeled things like 'get off my lawn' and 'boomstick surprise.' And worst of all, they're enjoying this. I can't prove it, but I swear I saw one of them live streaming the hog launcher ambush with the caption, 'Alien barbecue, y'all.' We'll attempt comms repair tomorrow, if we're not turned into taxidermy by then." End of log. Supplemental Mission Log Sergeant Threx. Codename Operation Moonshine Extraction. Objective: retrieve Private Yilgar from the enemy / moonshine-induced delusion before he spills vital intel, defects permanently, or wins a blue ribbon at the next hog-calling contest. Time: 1800 hours. Location: deep within Sector Rust Bucket. Our tracking systems failed to lock onto Yilgar due to the sheer amount of ethanol now coursing through his bloodstream. His body heat actually lowered from the alcohol cooling effect. We had to follow the trail manually. Signs of his passing included scorched grass where he tried to make alien s'mores, empty jars labeled Ma's Gut Ripper Reserve, not for sippin' unless you can fight a bear, and footprints of 1 boot, 1 bare foot, and, at some point, cow hooves. Eventually, we found him. He was in a clearing, wearing overalls, holding a banjo. He was also winning a fiddling contest against an actual human grandma. Crowd of colonists cheered. One held a sign, "Get 'em, Yilgar, show 'em your 3 hearts worth of soul." I made the mistake of calling his name. He turned slowly, eyes bloodshot, smile unhinged. "Well, butter my biscuits, boys. Y'all come to jam too?" Crink stepped forward. "Private Yilgar, you are in violation of Code 47B, consorting with indigenous hostiles. Return to the squad at once." Yilgar responded by throwing a moonshine jug, which exploded mid-air. It was on fire. He shouted, "For the glory of Ma's potato cannon," and disappeared into the woods riding a goat named Justice. We chased him. Bad move. Turns out the woods were booby-trapped, and not military-grade traps. No, redneck grade. Tripwires that trigger fireworks. Trees that shoot paintballs. A welcome mat that was actually a trampoline which launched Skilth into a chicken coop labeled no-fly zone. Eventually, I triggered a wire that dumped a full vat of honey on me. Crinks laughed until the bees returned. Status update: Yilgar is gone, possibly leading a square-dancing militia. Crinks has joined a support group for post-traumatic glitter exposure. Skilth only communicates in chicken now, and I smell like a pancake breakfast and regret. We are no longer trying to win, we are trying to survive, and maybe, just maybe, understand what terrifying tactical force we have truly stirred in this colony. End supplemental log Operation Moonshine Extraction. Mission log, Day 3. The Redneck Games and the Camo Rooster of Doom. Sergeant Threx reporting. Codename, Operation We're All Gonna Die But Politely. Time, 0600 hours. We woke up in our makeshift camp under the shattered remains of what once was a satellite dish, now doubling as a raccoon hot tub. Spirits were low. Crinks had nightmares about fireworks spelling out "y'all ain't ready," and woke up screaming in Morse code. Skilth refused to remove the feathers. I didn't ask. We were discussing retreat options when a courier arrived. Yes, an actual child on a 4-wheeler. He tossed us a crumpled scroll and drove off, hooting. It read, "To them, they're shiny-headed space critters. You done stepped in it now. You've been cordially invited to the 47th Annual Redneck Games, hosted by the folks of Dusty Ridge. Winner takes Private Yilgar. Losers get dinner anyway. Sincerely, Grandma Mabel, and her prize rooster, Sarge Feathers. Time, 0700 hours. Arrival at Dusty Ridge Coliseum, aka a cow pasture with bleachers. We were greeted by a banner made from tarp and motor oil stains. Welcome, intergalactic fellas. Hope you brought your guts and some Gatorade. The crowd, enormous. Every human in the colony seemed present. So did their dogs, goats, and at least one sentient tractor. We spotted Yilgar, now wearing a championship belt made from a fan blade and duct tape. He gave us a thumbs up and a toothy grin, which was concerning since we're pretty sure he didn't have human teeth before. Events included 1. Lawnmower jousting, rules unclear. All we know is Crinks now has a vendetta against a man named Uncle Dip and 2 fewer teeth. 2. Improvised explosive cornhole. You do not want to miss the board. Skilth did. He was last seen in low orbit, still clucking. 3. Greased pig wrestling with invisible pigs. We questioned it. They said, "Well, they're invisible to y'all." We wrestled the air for 20 minutes while the crowd roared. Pretty sure we fought nothing, still lost. 4. Final event, the Gauntlet of Sarge Feathers. This was no ordinary rooster. Sarge Feathers had a tactical vest, camo war paint, and eyes that had seen things. Things that make wormholes look like kiddie rides. Before the challenge, Grandma Mabel approached. She squinted up at us and said, "Only one of y'all can face him. Tradition. Don't matter how big your guns are. What matters is if you're worthy." I was volunteered when Crinks fainted and Skilth started pecking the dirt. Challenge commences 1000 hours. A ring of hay bales, crowd silent. I stepped in, so did Sarge Feathers. He strutted, he crowed, and then he charged. I barely dodged. He came in low, pecked my ankle. I screamed. He crowed again. It was tactical. He used cover. He used feints. He flashbanged me with a mini firecracker he yanked from his vest. How did he get that? Then he landed on my helmet. Taps my visor. Pecks once, twice, a third time. I dropped to my knees, arms up. The crowd roared. Grandma Mabel raised a hand. "He done passed!" Yilgar ran over and hugged me. He smelled like gasoline and victory. Final log entry 1900 hours. We're being escorted off the colony, not as prisoners, as guests. With gift baskets of smoked meat, pickled eggs, and a signed photo of Sarge Feathers in sunglasses. Mission status. Technically failed. Team status. Emotionally broken, culturally enriched. Personal status. I fear roosters now. Would I return? Honestly? Yeah. But next time I'm bringing bribes and extra shin guards. End log Operation Moonshine Extraction. Epilogue. Galactic Command Debrief. Case File, Dusty Ridge Incident. Location, Central War Council HQ, Sector Aegis Prime. Time 0900 hours 1 week later. Attending, Admiral Vorsk, Supreme Commander Notorious Hardass. Lieutenant Commander Relen, Intelligence Analyst, Serial Eyebrow Raiser. Sergeant Threx, looking like he aged 20 years and found religion in the woods. Begin transcript. Admiral Vorsk. Sergeant Threx, please summarize why your elite platoon failed to secure a single backwater Terran colony. A colony with no known weapons, ships, or advanced defenses. Do try not to exaggerate this time. Threx. Sir, exaggeration is the coward's lie. What I'm about to tell you is gospel truth. And if it sounds ridiculous, that's 'cause it is. But so is war, especially when it involves rednecks. Lieutenant Commander Relan. Rednecks. Threx. Terran subclass, rural, aggressively hospitable, prone to spontaneous combustion events. You'll find their natural habitats stocked with firearms, hot sauce, and confusing moral codes. Admiral Vorsk. You had orbital support, you had tactical supremacy. Threx. And they had a rooster in tactical camo, sir. Pause. Relan. Is that a metaphor? Threx. No, ma'am. His name was Sarge Feathers. He flanked me. Twice. Admiral Vorsk. Continue. Threx. We were lured into their annual combat trials, which they refer to as the Redneck Games. Participation was not optional. Apparently, backing out triggers a hunting party. Relan. Hunting party? Threx. Pickup trucks, loud music, excessive whooping. There were fireworks. During the day. Admiral Vorsk. And the objective? Threx. Private Yilgar, sir. He was held hostage, but also voluntarily drinking moonshine and declaring himself the people's champion of Dusty Ridge. Relan, reading notes. He arm-wrestled a tree? Threx. He won. Admiral Vorsk. Sergeant, I'm having difficulty believing any of this. A chicken, lawnmower duels, invisible pig wrestling. Threx. I got a hoof print on my thigh if you want proof. Also, the pig might be real. Relan, aside. Logistics confirms the retrieval team found you with a bandolier made of beef jerky. Threx. I bonded with the locals. That's diplomacy, sir. Admiral Vorsk. And what of the tactical advantage we could have gained from controlling the colony? Threx. If we'd conquered them, we'd be ruling from a trailer park made of vengeance and barbecue grills. You don't control rednecks. You earn their respect, or you end up on the business end of a fireworks cannon strapped to a riding mower. Relan. Final assessment, Sergeant? Threx. Leans forward, deadly serious. I recommend a sector-wide quarantine of Dusty Ridge, no contact without prior psychological conditioning, and maybe we promote the rooster. Admiral Vorsk. You want to promote the rooster? Threx. That bird has seen combat. That bird broke me, sir. There's a pause. Vorsk slowly removes his reading glasses. Then, Admiral Vorsk. Request for promotion. Approved. Relan whispers. Dear Stars, help us all. Classified file update. Sarge Feathers, status, honorary Terran commander. Rank, Lieutenant Colonel, unofficial. Notable skills, guerrilla tactics, morale shattering, war paint intimidation threat. Level, Omega-3, that's poultry humor, it's also dead serious. Final log, comment. Threx. Next time Command asks me to invade a peaceful farm world, I'm bringing holy water, live bait, and a banjo. End transcript. After credits scene. Sarge Feathers, Galactic Terror. Location, Dusty Ridge, Terran Outpost, sunset. The screen fades from black. A rural porch comes into view, overlooking vast fields of corn and the distant smoking wreckage of several alien vehicles. The porch creaks softly as a lone figure sits in a rocking chair. A long, rusty banjo hangs across the figure's lap. The camera pans up to the porch slowly, revealing the one and only Sarge Feathers. The rooster, with a determined gleam in his eyes, wearing aviator sunglasses and a bandolier made of what appears to be corn kernels and tiny shotgun shells. Sarge Feathers. Ain't nobody messin' with Dusty Ridge no more. He cocks his head and clucks a few times as if speaking directly to the viewer. Sarge Feathers, continuing. This here's my farm now. Y'all can leave a message with the pig. He's the new mayor. The camera pans down to reveal a very large, confused pig wearing a tiny badge. It snorts loudly as if it knows exactly what's going on. Sarge Feathers lifts his banjo, strums a chord, and looks off into the sunset. Sarge Feathers, calmly, "They think they won, but out here we've got the home field advantage, and don't forget, no one messes with a rooster who knows how to paint camo." A loud honking noise cuts through the air. A tractor with a Confederate flag flies past, driven by a suspiciously familiar figure in a military uniform. Threx, but in civilian clothes, complete with a cowboy hat. Threx, yelling from the tractor, "Feathers, get down here, we're celebrating with extra fried chicken." Sarge Feathers cocks an eyebrow, then clucks as though he's considering the offer. Sarge Feathers, chuckling, "I'll be right there, Sergeant, but only if it's crispy." The camera zooms out as Sarge Feathers stands proudly strutting toward the tractor. The pig follows behind, snorting with purpose. The screen fades to black. As Sarge Feathers struts toward the tractor, Threx stops, turns, and looks directly into the camera. Threx, grinning, "Next time I'm just calling in a human. At least they don't eat the evidence." The camera cuts to Feathers, who's now perched on the tractor's hood, looking smug and completely unfazed. Sarge Feathers, clucking with pride, "Speak for yourself, buddy. Who do you think trained you in real combat?" Threx, laughing, shaking his head, "I should have just listened when they told me not to engage with farm animals." The screen goes dark again with the text flashing on the screen. The rooster will return in Operation Foul Play, or maybe not. It's hard to say with a rooster in charge.